What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, there is a ton going on in the MCU news cycle right now, between the first trailer for the Fantastic Four having dropped yesterday, Captain America Brave New World dropping next week, and Super Bowl trailers in between. But we need to double back to the re-reporting we did on Monday from an industry insider editorial that indicated that Kevin Feige was considering bringing Jonathan Majors back for the future of the MCU. But breaking yesterday and flying under the radar because of all of the hype for the Fantastic Four trailer drop, we actually had a separate industry insider editorial come out and say, according to their sources, it isn't true. We're going to break it all down, this latest report, trying to debunk the original report that Jonathan Majors may return as Kang, where it came from, what it exactly said, and then as always, try to add as much context as we can. We're breaking it all down, the latest development in the report that Jonathan Majors may or may not return as Kang the Conqueror to the MCU. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. Guys, thanks to everyone who subbed in the last couple of months. We've been growing at a breakneck pace. My analytics indicate that there may be some of you who are still watching the channel pretty regularly but haven't subscribed yet, which is totally cool. I realized I was doing the same thing with some of my favorite channels. I would just kindly invite you to do so. It's the easiest thing and best thing you can do to support a channel like mine. Plus, if you're watching the videos already, you got to be subbed to enter the giveaways, so you might as well, and I would sincerely appreciate it. Okay, so some real quick catch up in case you missed our last video on this subject. On Monday, the outlet Screen Geek released an exclusive stating that Jonathan Majors may be returning as Kang. They go on to indicate in the article that according to their sources, again in an exclusive, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was considering bringing back Jonathan Majors to add closure to the Kang storyline. Well, yesterday, TMZ ran an article that said something very different. They broke the headline, Jonathan Majors not in talks for Marvel comeback exclusive, where they go on to say, quote, Jonathan Majors is not being considered for a return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least not currently, despite reports to the contrary. Multiple sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Jonathan Majors has not engaged in any talks to return to the MCU after he was booted in 2023 following a guilty verdict in his criminal trial. Despite rumors of a potential return gaining traction on fan websites, our sources say that the studio is not considering bringing Jonathan Majors back into the MCU fold. And the article continues to give some backstory to the situation, which you guys are all well up to date on and don't need me to rehash in any way. Okay, so if you're wondering how to take this, I'm just going to be dead honest with you guys. This does not happen often. As a guy who's been doing this for almost a decade as it pertains to the MCU, and I re-report on everything from anonymous 4chan and Reddit posts, anonymous Twitter scoopsters, industry insiders, and huge Hollywood trades alike, you sort of have to dial in how much reverence you want to give a specific outlet based on the quality and the accuracy of their previous scoops. There have been extremely small outlets who have nailed major details and exclusives in the past for the MCU. But in this case, where you have back-to-back days with industry insider editorials issuing different statements based on their sources, you just have to sort of personally weigh the sources at TMZ that they say are in the multiple or the sources at Screen Geek. And again, I would caution against automatically writing off Screen Geek's exclusive because you're basically saying, well, their sources must not be right because the sources at TMZ say so. Relatively small scoopers like Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast have become huge as of late because he's the guy who nailed Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom, even when other major outlets were categorically calling that scoop false. You see my point? We can also apply the same logic to Screen Geek versus TMZ to TMZ versus, say, The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, two major Hollywood trades. And the reason I bring those two up is because it's already been established that Marvel Studios will occasionally run their own news and scoops through those outlets, communicate directly with them in order to have stuff reported on that they're not going to announce themselves, say like a casting or trailer update, etc. So if this headline had appeared in one of those or something alike, I would put a lot more stock in it and say, well, you know what, that's probably true. But I mean, everybody's allowed to have their space in their exclusives, especially when it comes to the Marvel scoop game. There have been extremely small names who have gotten really big details right. And so it is very weird. It doesn't happen often that two outlets will have competing headlines in less than 24 hours, but sources do have different information. And that's part of this exclusive scoop game, is that not all the time are things going to be congruent depending on the source that you talk to if it's not supposed to be out in the news and for public consumption, maybe like a story like this. Now, as far as Jonathan Majors, if Marvel Studios isn't considering bringing him back, then they really need to pay attention to most of the public discourse surrounding this topic and just how much of a fan move that would be in order to do it. In our previous video, I mentioned that it's not really about resolving the Kang storyline for a lot of reasons that matter to the MCU, but rather giving Jonathan Majors, the Man, a redemption and second chance, which is what apparently the MCU is founded on with Robert Downey Jr. And I know some of you flooded into the comments to say you can't really compare the two, but yeah, one did jail time and the other didn't, so I'm not sure which side of that argument you're trying to be on. I'm just saying it doesn't really matter. It's all about second chances for him, the person, not for Kang the Conqueror, the character. But I understand completely switching into Doctor Doom for Secret Wars. I think they should have had Doctor Doom as the villain for Secret Wars anyway, but they definitely shouldn't have done Jonathan Majors dirty the way that they did. The reason I would see them not wanting to have this out in the public eye or admitting that they're thinking about bringing him back is we haven't even gotten to Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom yet. There is so much MCU left to go, and as I stated in that video yesterday, the way that I would like to see it done if he was brought back is in the future of the MCU. Don't serve him up to Doctor Doom to be, 15 minutes of screen time where he gets squashed in order to build God Emperor Doom up as this all-powerful villain. He's going to have to defeat Loki in order to do that. You don't really have to serve up Kang to build him as a villain, and that's not really the redemption arc that I think he would be interested in coming back for, or that Kevin Feige or Marvel Studios would want to present if they went down this road. Rather, he can show up as a Fantastic Four villain down the road, and there are plenty of explainers on how this could work. We were actually working on that video before we cut to do this one this morning on how we would bring Kang the Conqueror back into the MCU, and actually all the pieces are already in place. It's completely logical for the plot. We will explain that in a future video, but you guys let me know all your thoughts down below. I know it's much easier to just believe TMZ because they're much bigger, and they do have sources in Hollywood. I mean, shoot, that's what their name stands for. If you didn't know, it's 30 Mile Zone, which means the 30 Mile Zone around LA. But look, scoops are exactly that. They're just scoops. That's why we call them that, because they haven't been officially announced yet. You guys let me know all your thoughts on all of this. I'm all ears as always. Quickly, let's jump into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, still giving away PS5s at the channel. We're just going to continue to do that until the PS5 Pro comes out, or the PS6, who even knows at this point, because there are so many Marvel drops this year. I think 6 TV shows and 3 movies. We've got a ton of them coming in the next 11 months. If you want to be entered to win, super simple, all you got to do, hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name All Fires. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.